Shalom and welcome to 2 Minutes of Torah. This year is entitled "Are Children Obligated to Hear the Megillah Reading?" So there's an amazing machloket in the Mishnah in Megillah 19b Yud Tet Amid Bet, whether a child can actually read the Megillah for adults or not. Chacham says no. The Buddha says that they can. Tosa says the question is, of course, a child who's 2 or 3 or 4 is not obligated. He certainly cannot read for an adult. And if he's 12, of course, he's obligated. The question is, can he read the Megillah for others? Is it considered to be the same level enough that he can be motzi? Because he's chayiv of combinations, a mitzvah rabban of Megillah, plus the fact that he is chayiv only because of chinuch education. And an adult is chayiv because it's just a mitzvah drabanan. It says trade drabanan, chad drabanan. It's a machlokes and argument, but they both agree that a child is chayiv. It's not just the father has to run after the child to do the mitzvah, but a child is chayiv in all the mitzvah. There's a Ramban on that very page. In the back in the Rif, the Ran quotes him on Vav and Beit in the Rif's pages, where the Ramban says a child has no chiyuv whatsoever. Chinuch is all on the father. The father has to run after the child to them to do all the mitzvahs. He has to teach him, and he has to carry out the mitzvot to make sure he puts on proper tefillin, has a proper lulav and esrog, and that he's there at the Megillah reading and all the mitzvot. But in general, he's not in any way obligated on the mitzvah. He's a katan. He's before my mitzvah age. He is not chayiv in the mitzvot. And so it turns out to be an unbelievable machloket between the Ramban and other Rishonim, whether chinuch is only on the father or it's on the father and on the child as well. Where the Ramban says it's only on the father, and Message next year we'll see the one exception. And the other Rishonim maintain that the chinuch is on the child as well. He is a bar chiv. He's obligated on the mitzvot as well. The obvious question is how does Ramban understand the Mishnah when Megillah, which right, Yehuda says he can, not only he's chayiv, but he could actually read it for others. We'll see about that next time. In terms of Psak Shulchan Aruch, in Kuf Pei Vav brings down the Shita. The only thing he brings down is that a child can say brachot for others in certain situations, which means that he holds the child is chayav in the mitzvah himself. And it's not just that the father has to get him to do the mitzvot. Because so next year we'll look more into the Ramban's very interesting idea that the child has no chiv, only the father does. Shalom.